lot of times you'll come to these ponds, and you know it's a 50-50 shot. Either the pond's going to be clear, or it's going to be one of those murky, dark, brown, muddy-looking waters. You know, on these type of ponds here, that's why I like to approach the bank real slow, so as not to spook any fish off as I'm walking up to it. Also, fishing these ponds, what I like to do is, in the clear water, I like to fish darker color baits because it's easier for the fish to see in these ponds, and they won't have trouble seeing that dark bait. Now, when you go to the darker color, murky watered ponds, like the muddy rivers and muddy golf course ponds, I like to use the very bright, vibrant yellows, pinks, even the chartreuse colors. Those work really well because they stand out in that muddy water, and it makes it easier for the fish to see. It's a little more appetizing to the fish being bright and vibrant like that. Another thing I was telling you earlier, Jim, is when we were over there, we were fishing some of those points. We're starting to work our way to this end of the pond, and like I told you, it starts to get a little deeper over here. It starts to hold a little bit of bigger bass, and a lot more bass down this end than over there. But over there, come late evening, it may be a completely different story with the fish jumping up and hitting the bugs and jumping up and hitting the flies swimming over the top of the water, you know?
And that could have a lot to do with the sun, the way it's penetrating on the water. You know, in the morning time, well, the sun, you know, it's behind us right here, and the way this grass is here, they're burying up under the sun and the shade. Mm-hmm. And with the sun being over there, in the evening, they're going to the other part of the pond.
Exactly right. Happening. But like I said earlier as well, reading the pond. When you come up to the pond, when you first arrive, don't just run up to it and just start slinging your bait out there. Read the pond. Figure it out a little bit, you know? What it looks like grass, a lot of people call it pond scum floating on top of the water. That's actually an algae. It's called Filamentous algae. And what it does is it grows from the bottom of the pond up to the top of the pond. In the hot summer months, it grows wild. And what it does is it breaks free from the bottom, and it'll float around in the pond with the wind, and it'll push it into the corners of the pond. And a lot of people will fish that area because the bass will like to hide underneath it. And a lot of people will fish the area with like a topwater frog, and they'll skip it right over the top of that algae. And they get a lot of strikes like that as well. But a few other types of algae that are in here are planktonic algae. And the planktonic algae is like, you really can't see it where I'm pointing, but it's green in color, and it kind of turns the water green. It's a microscopic algae that really discolors the body of water that it's invading. I mean, it's not a bad thing. It just looks ugly to some people, and some people prefer, if it's like a farm pond or whatnot, to go ahead and combat the algae so it doesn't look like that.